on here. Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for the delay, but we had a few changes that just happened just this morning. And you know how it is when you get 2 or 3 people who want to do something different. It takes a while to kind of iron that out. But I want to start today by having the Senate Finance staff. Hold on a second.
First. Call the roll.
Oh, that's right. I do have to know who's here, don't I? Okay, Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll? Or Madam Clerk?
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Today we came back to find a long-term viable solution for the Virginia Military Survivors and Dependents Education Program. This program is important for those families and students that it serves, but I also want to ensure that the program is financially sustainable long-term. As a little history background, the House insisted on the approach that was adopted last month, signed by the governor, and that has now proved to be unpopular. Myself, Senator Locke, Senator Servo have been united in finding a solution that will preserve benefits to Gold Star families, deal with unintended consequences, including removing line of duty members and making sure students had access to the program if they wanted to go to community college or if their plan had changed after May 15th. Previously, it was senators that had to argue repeatedly with House members to even allow for a hold harmless in these program changes. Why do I tell you this? Because I care about veterans, first responders, and their families. And I also care about ensuring that future participants will have access to the program and that the program will be sustainable long term. That being said, we are still working on a long-term solution. All of us want to protect this program. We will work together to find a responsible solution. Therefore, I'm going to announce a special select work group, subject matter experts. In addition, I am going to ask that JLOC expedite a review immediately to provide objective research assistance to these members. The members of this select work group will be Senator Favola, McPike, Rome, Reeves, and D-Step, with Senator Favola being the chair. I expect to work in a collaborative fashion with all senators to come up with a more eloquent solution in the coming weeks. In the meantime, we will provide contact information for the members of the select work group. Neither of my previously introduced appropriations bills are going to be docketed today. You just miss having your name called. Again, neither of my previously introduced appropriations bills are going to be docketed today. Yesterday, the governor seemed to indicate that he wouldn't sign a skill gains bill until after VIM's DEP changes are repealed. I'm not going to pit constituents against each other. We care about all of you. We need solutions on both issues, and we will have to continue working on both. At this point, I'm going to ask staff to present on the appropriations bills that I introduced. It is customary for the chair of the committee to introduce and carry all appropriations and debt bills. Staff will summarize those 2 bills, and then we will hear public comments on both bills, with each side receiving the same amount of time as time allows. Now I will ask April to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not sure what's happening with the screen, but I will continue to do this very, very quickly, just so members of the audience know what's in both bills and know what was introduced, so you can get back to the meeting. First, on slide 2, Senate Bill 6008. All right, that's not working, so I'm going to let somebody fix that for me. Was the skills games legislation. That legislation includes regulation and oversight at the lottery. There is a Part 3 transfer in that bill of $112.5 million in the second year for the pre-K-12 priority fund to the general fund. And that transfers the support from the direct aid appropriation in Chapter 2 of the 2024 Special Session 1, the one we're still in. However, in the budget bill that was adopted, it did not enumerate the transfer amount, so that gets updated. The other appropriation bill, and I'm going to cover this again, that the chair introduced, has a $20 million Treasury loan for lottery costs prior to the tax and fee revenue that's collected. And just a note, there was a previous Treasury loan, but based on the way that that was worded on the previous bill that has been vetoed, that needs to be updated. On slide 3, just some information. The tax rate on gross profits is set at 25% in the bill, and then here is the following distribution of the tax revenue. 75% goes to the pre-K-12 priority fund, 15% to host localities, 6% to lottery administration costs, 2% to problem gaming fund, 1% to state police, and 1% to the primary local law enforcement. The number of machines statewide would be capped it would go up to 35,000. And then as far as machines per location, 4 at locations that are non-truck stops, 7 at locations that are a truck stop, and the locations must either be either an ABC retail licensee or a licensed lottery agent. There is a required central accounting system, because I know that was a question we were likely going to get. And then on the referendum, localities may opt out from hosting the hosting devices, and it has to be initiated by either the local governing board or voters. On to slide 4. This is the other appropriation bill, which includes changes to the VMSTEP language, but also includes a number of other technical items. And the feeling there was from the chair and leadership that if you were opening the bill back up, you should fix some of the things that were found that were in error. So on first one, there'll be an adjustment on the front page. There is some mistakes there on the front page, so that will be adjusted. There's also a new capital item that's proposed to backfill a shortage in a pool, and so that I'll get to these in more detail. Then there's a correction of the rate plan under DGS, a reimbursement of a locality with county for a project that's no longer going forward. Under tax, the changes of a couple of words to put some language back to where it was previously, some language that was not done in error under the Department of Medical Assistance Services. I mentioned the Treasury loan under lottery for skill games already, mentioned that supplement, and then again changes to the VMSTEP program. If you turn to slide 5, I'll go in a little bit more detail. There needs to be an accurate reflection for the general fund revenue estimate. There was an error in the lottery proceeds fund. The transfer amount in part 3 is correct, but the dollar amount there on the front page is not correct. So it would fix that error. It would also do, as I mentioned, this update to the bond proceeds. So there in this bill, there's an item C 50.10, and that would supplement the 2024 higher education capital pool. That pool is going to be short, and as those projects proceed during the course of the year, that would potentially delay one or more of the projects. Therefore, that would update the total bond amount, so that's not general fund dollars, it's bond proceeds under the Virginia College Building Authority. Moving to page 6. Under economic development, it would authorize the Virginia Economic Development Partnership to use up to $3.7 million from the Commonwealth Opportunity Fund to provide payment to Wythe County for work that's already been done for a project that now is no longer going forward because the funding, I believe, at the federal level is no longer available. So it would do that. Under the Department of Medical Assistance Services, I mentioned there were 2 funding items where language was not put in the budget. This provides clarifications on those contracts and those amounts. One was to centralize mailroom activities, and then the other was to increase automation of Medicaid eligibility determinations. Next, the correction of the state agency rent plan rate. Language was adopted in the budget, which delayed executive branch agencies from moving from the Monroe building. Based on that, some agencies will not be downsizing the square footage that they have, and therefore this rent rate is not appropriate given those changes. Therefore, the only changes into the first year just changes the rate per square footage. Next item relates to an item under the Department of Taxation. This language would restore it back to the way it was previously, that clarifies that the use of private collection agency revenue by tax, which is general fund revenue, is only available for audit and collection systems and not for other systems. Moving on to slide 7. The press release mentioned the priority of the chair and leadership on protecting Gold Star families and dealing with unintended consequences. So you'll see the first bullet there that the language would have had been adopted would have exempted the survivors and dependents of military service members. I won't go through the full language here, but essentially those who were in combat and those who, according to such service, were 90% or more disabled. It would also do some other things. It would, the unintended consequences where other waivers got pulled in, it eliminates those code sections, which included the line of duty tuition waivers, which is a very small program. It would then clarify that individuals approved by the program for the Department of Veteran Services by 2024, so this entire year, and then enrolled in summer and fall courses are exempt. So that's the grandfathering exemption there. And the clarification there, so that individuals are aware and members of the committee are aware, because of the May 15th date that was adopted, because of that being the move signing day, even that was delayed from the FAFSA problems at the federal level. Most four-year individuals going to a four-year college would have to have decided where they were going on May 15th. However, the unintended consequence of that is community colleges are open enrollment, and therefore that May 15th date didn't work. In addition, there are also some situations, for example, where somebody might have been waitlisted at a Virginia college and wasn't intending to go and now has come off the wait list, and if that happened after May 15th, they would not be eligible. So this was trying to provide some more direction under grandfathering and deal with some of those unintended consequences. It would also then have required SHEV to issue guidance by August 1 of 2024 to make sure guidance was available, since that guidance has not been put out at this point. And then Madam Chair mentioned JLARC conducting a study of the program and issuing recommendations. This date would no longer be relevant since she is asking for an expedited review. Slide 8 talks about the JLARC language that would ask them to do a review of the program and also look at long-term sustainability, but also some of the things that have been asked for. It would do an analysis of participant data. It would do an assessment of waiver costs that have been reported by institutions. It would do identification of practices to support education and other benefits for families and veterans in other states, and then look at methods to estimate enrollments and cost. Again, originally, had the bill been documented, that language said that it was due November 1, 2024. And again, Madam Chair has mentioned that she's going to ask for an expedited review. Madam Chair, that concludes my presentation, unless there are questions.
Thank you, April. As I indicated at the beginning of the meeting, we will hear comments from both sides. I will allow 10 minutes worth of testimony from each side, and that's with the idea that the task force, not the task force, work group, the work group will be meeting and will entertain any questions that you have. And as a matter of fact, the chair, Senator Favola, do you have a date set for when you're going to have that meeting, start your work group to start receiving the comments?
I do, Madam Chair. The first date for the work group will be Friday, June 28th at 10:30 in the morning, and we will have an agenda posted, and we'll move forward. We will take some limited public comment at that meeting. Our goal is to work quickly in the summer and to have a proposal to the Finance Committee perhaps by mid-September. That's our goal. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. I want the persons who will be speaking on VEM-DEP first. That's Senate Bill 6005. And so if you will start lining up and be respectful of those who are following behind you so that everybody will have an opportunity to at least have their say. And don't think that because we're limited in the amount of time that you have today that that's going to be the end all to this, because you can have from now until, we're starting with the 28th, you will have from now until what date, whatever date you finish with JLARC. To give all of your comments to the work group. Come forward, sir, give your name.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I'm Monty Zimmerman. I'd also like to say hello to senators, several of you I call my friends. Monty Zimmerman, a military veteran with more than 30 years of military service. and 32 months in combat and hazardous duty zones. I'm representing the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States as the Virginia Legislative Chair, representing the 33,000 VFW members who are concerned about VMSDEP. I'm also the Vice Chair of the Joint Leadership Council of Veteran Services. I'd like to say my son and wife have used VMSDEP. The benefits that they have used ensured that our family remained in Virginia. My son is now a second lieutenant in the Virginia Army National Guard at Fort Gregg Adams, going through his training. I know how this program works. I understand the intricacies and details of it, having lived through it, using the computer system and process. I support repealing and restoring VMSDEP as would be done through Senate Bill 6006. Please stop harming vulnerable population and the uncertainty the survivors and dependents of significantly disabled veterans have right now. I have always considered this the cornerstone program of veteran benefits in Virginia, and what I'd like to say is a promise made is a promise kept, and failing to restore this program impacts the trust of our most vulnerable population. Please keep this as an enduring program to support veterans' families, something that veterans should never be considered as a partisan pawn for. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your comment. We're down to, if you all would take notice of the time, you have 8 minutes and 9 seconds left. And so if you can try best you can not to repeat what's already been said, we'll try not to go over very long. Ma'am.
Thanks. I'm Christy McGinnis from Virginia Beach. I'm a VMSDEP recipient. I'm also happen to be a veteran. I'm here today representing women veterans across the Commonwealth. It needs to be emphasized. Any legislation that excludes protection for non-combat related injuries, illnesses, or deaths will disproportionately impact the women veterans of Virginia. Until 2016, women did not begin to serve in combat. That doesn't mean we weren't working in physical and often dangerous roles, and we don't carry the scars of that kind of work. More striking and more personal to me, the VA estimates that 1 in every 3 veterans who go into their healthcare system who are a woman report military sexual trauma, MST. I'm one of those statistics. Many of those women will walk away and they will be dealing with PTSD for the rest of their lives. It's going to impact their careers. It's going to impact their families, their parenting, their relationships, their mental health, and their physical health. And they're going to carry it until they die. I've read over some of the proposed legislation, and honestly, it felt like a slap in the face to any woman who's worn a uniform in this state. It particularly impacts minority women veterans who are overrepresented in our disabled veteran community. We can't claim to care about women's issues and then ceremoniously disregard our lived pain. We can't claim to protect a Gold Star and disabled veterans with new language that leaves this entire cohort out. So I really urge our legislators, please stand by us.
Hello, my name is Michael. I'm sorry. Hello, my name is Michael Parker. Politics is a game. Is that how you treat Gold Star disabled veterans and fallen first responder families? As a game? There is a truism in politics, follow the money. I have followed some of that money. Senators Searlwell, Lucas, and perhaps others have employed the services of Pocket Aces Consulting, a consulting group in Fairfax. Senator Searlwell, yesterday I was at your law offices demonstrating for the restoration of VMSDEPs. As it turns out, Pocket Aces Consulting, coincidentally or not, is in the same building. On Pocket Aces website, you will find the words, politics is a game. And as it turns out, you pay them to play that game for you. They have helped you play the game to reduce or eliminate educational benefits for the families of wounded warriors and fallen heroes. To add insult to injury, Pocket Aces posted on their Twitter account a picture of our demonstration yesterday with the following caption: protest in front of the offices today of Senator Searlwell and Senator Lucas with a honk sign. One honk. Here's the truth. That sign was made by my daughter. She graduated from high school last week. Senator Searlwell, you were the special guest at that graduation. Now her VMSDEP benefits are in doubt. One side of her sign said, honk if you support disabled veterans. The other side said, honk if you support Gold Star families. The people who work for you and are paid by you celebrated on the delusion that that sign supporting wounded warriors and Gold Star families only received one honk. That is disgusting. Yes, I followed the money, and it led me to disgust of senators who paid money to an outfit that clearly despises our wounded warriors and fallen heroes. You can posture your support for the military all you want, but actions speak louder than words. My daughter is sitting outside with that very same sign. You owe her and the families of wounded warriors and fallen heroes an apology. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Melissa Roby. I'm the founder of We Back Blue, and there's a brotherhood of people in uniform that you may not understand. And we don't leave one another behind. The governor, the House, and a majority of the Senate have all signaled their support for a clean bill that fully reverses and repeals the changes to VMSTEP. Respectfully, why isn't that being heard? Unfortunately, that bill is not even considered today. Our military heroes and their families are now left waiting in uncertainty. It's unacceptable, full repeal or no deal.
Thank you. Come forward.
Good morning. My father is not a combat veteran and was not in the military as long as other people. However, he has been living with injuries and chronic pain from the military, which he wholeheartedly voluntarily joined, and poor decisions made by the military medical personnel who botched his surgery, forcing him to be medically discharged. He has lived with chronic pain and fear for almost 30 years now. His injuries were not always as bad as it has been, but has gotten worse over the years and has been at the current level ever since before I was born. I have grown up as his partial caretaker. When my mother is at work, I took care of him to the best of my ability. This is the life I know, and for the love of my parents, I've never complained. As of 2024, May 13th, I am forced to add another encumbrance onto my shoulders. The ambiguity of VMS DEP has me anxious over my college plans and my future. I am unsure if I have been grandfathered into the 2024-2025 school year, and if I will be able to still attend to complete my bachelor's degree. I beg you to support to reinstate VMS DEP during the General Assembly special session on 2024, June 8th, to its original form and aim to allow those like me to be able to attend public college in Virginia with the benefit that my father and I have earned.
We're down to 2.5 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Ann Wendell, and I am the widow of Richmond Police Officer Douglas Wendell, who was killed in the line of duty in 2003. Our 3 children were 11, 9, and 4 at the time. They all used the tuition waiver to attend Virginia colleges. For that, we are grateful. But there are others than just my family. I am also the secretary of the Virginia chapter of Concerns of Police Survivors, a national support group that provides emotional and logistical support to families and coworkers of law enforcement who die in the line of duty. When Doug took the oath, like every first responder, he was promised that should he die, his family would be taken care of. It is disgraceful that the legislature would take benefits away from the people who protect you every day and would give their lives for you if necessary, even those police officers there. Why won't the Reeves bill be heard? How can you say that we cost you too much? My husband has already paid with his blood. We stand together. Repeal and return the law to what it was. This is not a needs-based program. What we all need is our person back in one piece.
Thank you. We're down to a minute and less than a minute and a half. So can you all kind of speak as quickly as you can? Go ahead, ma'am.
Caitlin Goodale Porter, Army and Coast Guard veteran, also Army wife of a 90% disabled veteran. I'm 100%. My family is not an unintended consequence. We are real people, and our mental health has suffered over the past 3.5 months since I first became aware of the situation in February and emailed multiple of you on the 22nd of February. We have been fighting this tooth and nail for months, and we are hurting, and the only way that pain will be assuaged at this point is if the Reeves bill is heard and voted on ASAP. We need support now, not in September.
Thank you.
My name is Sam Payton. My mom has been working in the military for my entire life, and I have grown up seeing how it has affected her and left her permanently disabled and suffering every day. And to take this thing that she fought so hard for me is disgusting. It is horrid.
I'm still going to hear you, sir, since you're the last person in line.
Sorry, I only had a moment, but I just wanted to say that it is hard growing up and seeing people not care about my mom, everybody else who has suffered for all of us. You can't just take that, these things that they've worked their entire lives for, to give to their families, to give to their future generations. They deserve a reimbursement for their suffering to keep all of us safe. And I think it is just atrocious that we would throw them out like this without caring for them at all.
Good job.
I'm David Jones. I represent the Virginia Moose Association, and with 66,000 moose in Virginia, and many of those moose are veterans, and I want to say that we support restoring this program to where it was. Also, the president of the Virginia Fraternal Order of Police asked me to read a letter. I will not read the entire letter, just an excerpt. Dear members of the General Assembly, I am appreciative of your support for reconvening the special session to restore funding to a critical state program that benefits the sons, daughters, and spouses of killed and disabled veterans, Virginia servicemen and women. This issue hits close to home for Virginia law enforcement because the families of first responders killed in the line of duty rely on a similar state program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Have someone online? Is there a speaker online?
Tiffany Vilkes, please unmute, turn on your camera, and begin your testimony.
1 second. Good afternoon. I apologize that I couldn't be there in person. I just got out of the hospital. All I wanted to say is that please restore benefits for veterans like me, victims of military sexual trauma who are not combat related. My children deserve benefits that I have worked for. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? I'm sure there aren't any. Okay, now we'll go to public comment on skill games. Please line up. 10 minutes each side. I want those who support on one side and those who oppose on one side. Okay, looks like I have all those who are support. Okay. I haven't started the clock yet. I'm gonna wait till everybody get in line. Okay, go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and the members of the committee. My name is Kunal Kumar, and I'm here today representing Virginia Asian American Store Owner Association and Virginia Petroleum and Convenience Marketers Association. We respectfully urge you to support the skill games bills. Following the veto of SB 212, our members, our customers, and even our employees were not only concerned, but they were confused. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy and have always been on the front lines, whether during COVID or any natural disasters. They deserve the support through the passage of this legislation. Madam Chair, we're grateful to you and Senator Craig for giving Virginia small businesses hope by introducing these bills in this special session. SB 6002 represents a true compromise addressing concerns raised by the governor that led to the previous veto. On behalf of the small businesses, I ask you all to support this bill and urge your colleagues in the House and the governor to resolve this issue. In closing, I will respectfully say that equal opportunity and pursuit of the American dream is the Virginia way, and I would hope that your support would ensure and uphold these values. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. My name is Rich Kelly. I'm president of VA-MAC, the Virginia Merchants and Amusement Coalition, the yellow shirts here. We are locally owned restaurants, convenience stores, truck stops. Many of them are open 365 days a year, and the only people who are open 24 hours a day or in small towns. We have a simple message, right? Support skill games and support small business. That's who we are. There's dozens of people sitting with me whose businesses will close if we don't get skill games restored, because there's a certain balance between profitability, and it's been tough, right? Senator Lucas and Senator Rouse have put together legislation which we really had hoped that would reach a compromise and get put through. We hope the General Assembly will work together to save small businesses. And I hope that you will consider the impact of this bill for small business. And along with the 370 members of VMAC and our 2,000 employees in these businesses, we thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Taylor, and I'm a member of the Amusement and Music Operations of Virginia, also known as the AMOV. Our members offer small businesses ways to make critical supplement income from products like jukeboxes, pinball machines, pool tables, and of course, skill games. In tough economic times, skill games offered small businesses, like many of those in this room, make way to have critical supplement income. Senate Bill 6008 is a long-awaited solution that regulates and taxes skill games while supporting Virginia's small businesses. An important amusement industry, please vote yes on to SB 6008. I'd also like to say that the company that I manage, we've had to lay off several people, and it breaks my heart to know that it's the money they need to make their family survive. Please support this SB 6006.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Brett Cretenmore. I traveled here today from Chesapeake to share my story on how the closing of skill games has impacted my business. After my 14 years as a Chesapeake police officer, I retired from the force and I decided to take up a new opportunity as a franchise owner at 7-Eleven. When the skill game machines turned off last fall, my business took a big hit, and it's going to be detrimental if we don't turn the machines back on. I was a franchise owner of 3 7-Elevens, but since the games turned off, I had to turn over ownership of 2 of my stores. I had to turn them back over to corporate, essentially slashing my income by 2/3. I know that so many of my fellow store owners here today are about to face the same dilemma if we don't regulate and legalize skill games. I urge you to move quickly on this bill and to encourage your colleagues to support businesses like mine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all the senators. My name is Bhavin Patel, and I am the president of Virginia Amusement Coalition, known as VAC. We are a group of more than 5,000 convenience stores and gas stations that are independently run by the first and the second generation Americans. I am here today to echo our support to the Senate Bill 6008, which is bipartisan compromise legislation that will regulate skill games, but most importantly, support Virginia small businesses. Skill games have become a vital source of supplemental income for countless entrepreneurs like myself. Income from the games has helped us to keep our businesses open, provide for families, and continue and create and sustain jobs in our community. Regulating and taxing skill games responsibly will be a win-win for all involved, safeguarding small businesses and the communities we serve. Senate Bill 6008 is a culmination of months of hard work and compromise on behalf of our bill patrons and others. Please vote yes on Senate Bill 6008 today, and thank you all.
Do we have anybody online? There's one online. Okay, Senator Rouse, since you're there, and we still got a couple minutes left.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be very brief in my remarks. Thank you, members of the committee as well. Just take a look behind me. You will see many small business owners that are in this room today. You know, this small business skill gaming bill has been about leveling the playing field in a state that allows casinos, historic horse racing, charitable gaming, and sports betting. Essentially, every cell phone is a gambling device. It is alarming that we would place the whole weight of the gambling industry on our small businesses that have skill games. During this past session, members of the General Assembly worked in a bipartisan manner to pass a small business skill gaming bill, to which we got to the governor's desk. We passed that bipartisan bill in the Senate overwhelmingly. In the 11th hour of that bill becoming law, I heard from the governor's administration, who tried to rewrite the bill in the 11th hour. Now, this is one of the most notable bills we have worked on throughout the long session, 60 days of compromising, finding balance on important topics such as who the authority is, whether it be the ABC or lottery, how many gaming machines per convenience store or restaurant or truck stop, coming up, making sure that there is a local option for local communities to have a say-so where these skill gaming machines are. Throughout the entire process, I have not heard from the governor's administration until the 11th hour where they went to rewrite the bill over the phone. That bill was vetoed to essentially over 75 amendments that practically banned skill gaming throughout Virginia. Since then, we have vowed and promised, just as the governor has promised, to continue work on skill gaming to bring a bill forward to support our small businesses. Well, I'm here to say that we have continuously fought and worked to find a compromise to those issues and to those concerns. And that is what the Senate bill that Madam Chair has patroned attempts to do. Now we are at the time where it's time to put up or shut up. It's time for the governor to do his job and to fulfill what he has said he will do on day one of his administration. And that was sign a skill gaming bill to support small businesses. Small businesses are the backbone of our community. They support our local economies. They support our local families. This is not about competition with the casinos or lottery or any other industry. Because what the numbers have shown us is that at a time during the pandemic, those industries did well when skill gamings were allowed. In fact, bringing in over $120 million to the state. It's time we do right by our small businesses, and it's time we do right by our military families as well, making sure we can do both. We can walk and chew gum. Thank you, Madam
Senator
President.
Rose. We have one person online.
Tiffany Vilkis, if you would like to speak to this legislation, please unmute and begin your testimony.
Okay, so now do we have those who are in opposition?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the committee. My name is Todd Gackey, Director of Government Relations for the Family Foundation, speaking in opposition to the skill games bills. And let's be clear, this bill is intended to rob from those who can least afford to lose or are struggling with gaming addiction, to line the pockets of skill game operators and grow the size and scope of government-endorsed gambling. And yesterday at a Gaming Commission meeting, it was reported that the Virginia Problem Gaming Hotline has reported a 973% increase in calls related to problem gambling since the gambling was legalized. And those were just calls of people who are struggling, not those who have not called in. We don't know how many are struggling because of increased gambling here in Virginia. And yet when it comes to skill games, the majority of this body is intent on expanding it to steal from the people who can least afford to lose, like young people, the poor, and gambling addicts. Quoting from an op-ed by former Congressman Frank Wolf, who was the sponsor of the National Gambling Impact Study Commission, he wrote this: "The convenience stores, gas stations, and restaurants that will host these games have no possible way to ensure adequate enforcement that will keep these individuals from playing. As a result, players are likely to be lured into a cycle of financial hardship and addiction that could have been avoided." Senate Bill 6008 will allow thousands, over 30,000 of these neighborhood slot machines in convenience stores and other establishments with little to no oversight, and even allow them right next to schools, daycares, places of worship where small kids can be found. Congressman Wolf also goes on to write, along with the age and problem gambling enforcement, these locations also do not have the means to ensure their patrons remain safe after introducing this large new target of crime. Convenience store slots nationwide have proven to create the threat of criminal activity due to the substantial amounts of cash they accumulate. This puts not only the store workers, but also the patrons at risk and the surrounding communities. These machines attract more crime and illegal drug activities, entice problem gamblers to fill their addictions with little to no oversight, desensitize youth to gambling, and lead more financial hardships as problem gamblers waste precious funds on addictive gaming machines. When it comes to casinos and gambling venues like that at Rosie's or Bristol or Danville or Portsmouth, they too attract this criminal behavior, the illegal drugs, the crime, the human sex trafficking. But what this does is it disperses those crimes into the localities, into the backyards of these communities. Virginians deserve better. They deserve safe neighborhoods. And I would ask that you oppose this legislation.
Next speaker.
Madam Chair, Monty Zimmerman, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Virginia. Our leadership has a position on this that they wrote, and I'll just summarize real quickly. We are grateful that Governor Youngkin and senators and delegates from both sides of the aisle listened to the concerns of Virginia's veterans and have welcomed the call to return to Richmond to fix this unintentional oversight made during the passage of the budget. While we strongly support returning to fix the budgetary oversight for veterans' families, we request that funding this noble effort not be connected to the skill games issue. We further hope that proponents of skill games legalization will not use veterans as pawns by trying to connect VMSDEP funding to legislation benefiting skill gambling machine companies. So thank you very much. Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
I'm David Jones with the Virginia Moose Association, 66,000 members of the Moose. We appreciate you inviting us to speak, Madam Chair. As Senator Reeves has named us, I'm here speaking for not only the Moose, but the Elks and the Eagles, fondly named by Senator Reeves the Animal Kingdom. And we appreciate all of his help over the years. Skill games, when they first appeared on the scene, which was approximately 2018, they were, as you know, unauthorized, unregulated, and just appeared on the scene in virtually every gas station, convenience store, and such in the Commonwealth of Virginia. There's been a big negative impact on charitable fundraising efforts since that happened. Since 2018, in 2018, the number of licenses issued to charitable organizations has declined by 30%, according to reports prepared by VDAX. There were 313 licenses for charitable gaming in 2018, and 2,018 licenses issued in 2023, with a large, significant drop in charitable gaming revenue. Those charitable gaming revenues, as you know, go out to charitable endeavors in our communities. From calendar year 2022, from 21, the decrease in funds was 14.4 million from just in 1 year, from 2022 to 2021. And that impact has directly because of the presence of slot machines in all of our convenience stores and gas stations. Thank you for the time, Madam Chair.
Thank you as well.
Madam Chair, Ben Trainum, representing the Bristol Casino. In the interest of time, I'm also going to speak broadly on behalf of the other casino operators. For reasons previously stated before several committees, we oppose this legislation. We do not believe that it has adequate security protections, consumer protections, not enough regulatory teeth, age verification, and other things like that, including problem gaming. Furthermore, should a new form of in-person for-profit gambling move forward, that should have some form of opt-in referendum similar to the Virginia Lottery, pari-mutuel wagering, as well as the casinos. Thank you.
Hello, Chris Peterson, speaking in opposition to the measure. Speaking on behalf of Arrow, which is a manufacturer in the charitable gaming space. First, we oppose any legislation, but we also believe this legislation is just not ready. If you're going to have skill games, you have to have real regulation. Yesterday at the Joint Commission, we heard that skill games is one of the leading causes for calls to the problem gaming hotline. I have many pictures can show you of kids playing games in convenience stores. So if you're going to introduce these, you have to have real regulation. ABC cannot regulate this. It has to be under a real regulator. You have to have criminal background checks. You have to have verification of income. You can't just let money come in and not know what's coming in. You need to have the games audited. You need to have a referendum opting in, just like the casinos and historical horse racing. So if you're going to do this, there's still a lot more that has to be done. We oppose the concept, but in particular oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't have anybody else online, so my question now is, does any member of the committee have any questions, comments?
Madam Chair.
Senator Reeves.
Madam Chair, in accordance with the rules, customs, and courtesies of the Senate, I would make the motion that my bill, Senate Bill 6006, be taken up immediately and added to the agenda to be heard.
Senator Reeves, this is not a proper motion, but I want everybody to stay tuned for further dates and later today. And so with that, the committee will rise.
Of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.